Keep your hands on the wheel. You just reversed into a police vehicle. Camille Raines looked at the gear indicator. Drive. In the rear camera, a patrol car sat against the crushed bumper of her SUV. Steam lifted from its damaged grille. Behind the wheel, the officer's door stood open. The vehicle was moving forward, she said. Officer Darren Kessler reached her window and pointed toward the phone on the passenger seat. The report will show otherwise. Do not touch your phone. 7 minutes earlier, the report had not existed. Camille had been driving home from a regional power grid briefing in Redmont, Virginia. Her charcoal blazer was folded across the passenger seat beside a slim equipment case. The dark SUV carried no federal markings, no company logo, and nothing that explained why its rear compartment contained an encrypted continuity module used during infrastructure emergencies. A patrol car had followed her through 3 turns before activating its lights. Camille signaled and stopped beside the curb. Kessler approached without greeting. Step out of the vehicle. She unbuckled slowly and opened the door with both hands visible. What violation are you investigating? Lane deviation. Camille had crossed the edge of a faded lane marking while checking her blind spot. The movement had lasted less than a second. Kessler took her license and registration. His eyes paused on the corporate fleet information. Who authorized you to drive this? The registration identifies me as an executive driver. That was not my question. He walked around the SUV twice, looking through the tinted rear windows. The registration returned valid. No stolen vehicle notice, no outstanding warrant, no restriction on the driver. Kessler still opened another inquiry on his terminal. Asset ownership verification. What company is Meridian Grid Defense? My employer. What is in the case? Protected business equipment. You are driving alone in a corporate vehicle carrying protected equipment? Camille watched his hand remain near his belt. Yes. He asked where she worked, why the vehicle had no commercial markings, and whether the company knew she had taken it. Each answer existed in the registration he had already checked. A white man drove past in a similar luxury SUV with temporary dealer plates. Kessler never looked toward him. Open the rear compartment, he said. Do you have probable cause to search? I'm asking for consent. I do not consent. His expression changed slightly. Not anger yet. A recalculation. You seem unusually familiar with traffic procedure. I asked whether the stop is continuing. Kessler stepped closer. Do you understand who you are speaking to? Camille met his eyes. Am I detained? The question forced him back toward the law he had been avoiding. He returned her documents and printed a citation for improper lane travel. Get back in the vehicle. Camille did. She fastened her seatbelt, placed both hands on the wheel, and waited until Kessler stepped away. Then she activated her turn signal. The SUV remained in drive. It moved forward slowly from the curb. Behind her, Kessler returned to the patrol car. He did not radio dispatch. He did not request a supervisor. The patrol cruiser accelerated. The impact struck directly through the center of the SUV's rear bumper. Metal folded inward. The equipment rack behind the second row shifted against its restraints. Camille's body moved forward against the seatbelt and settled back. She checked her hands, her breathing, the mirrors. No immediate injury. The dashboard still showed drive. A damage alert appeared beneath it. Rear infrastructure module. Impact detected. Kessler was already outside. He approached quickly, his voice raised before he reached the window. You reversed into me. Camille lowered the glass halfway. I was moving forward. You pulled backward without warning. The gear position is recorded. His eyes moved briefly toward the dashboard, then away. If you continue arguing, I'll arrest you for obstruction. Kessler returned to his cruiser and opened the collision platform. Camille could see the terminal through his open door. He selected the first fault category. Civilian vehicle reversed unexpectedly. No telemetry had been reviewed. No witness had been questioned. No one had examined the traffic camera above the intersection. A delivery van had stopped beside the opposite curb. Its driver, Marcus Bell, stepped out. I saw the impact, he called. Your cruiser accelerated into her. Kessler turned. Return to your vehicle. My fleet camera recorded it. Then preserve it and stay out of the roadway. At the bus shelter, Erin Walsh raised her phone. She had not seen the moment of impact, but she recorded Kessler saying the SUV had reversed. Less than a minute later, she recorded him telling dispatch his brakes might have failed. Camille reached toward her phone. Kessler saw the movement. Hands back on the wheel. She placed her left hand where he could see it. With her right thumb, She pressed the emergency control along the phone's edge. Bastion. Collision integrity. Red. The device vibrated once. Inside the SUV, the event recorder changed to write protected mode. Camera footage, gear position, speed, and impact data began uploading to a secure server outside the Redmont police network. The infrastructure module locked itself against access. At Meridian Grid Defense, Chief Compliance Officer Sonia Patel received the alert. She opened the vehicle record. Gear position. Drive. Forward speed. Positive. Reverse lights. Inactive. At the same moment, Lieutenant Peter Duval received Kessler's radio report. He did not request the patrol dashcam. He did not contact Marcus. He did not speak to Camille. On the city collision platform, he selected preliminary fault, civilian driver. The classification entered the municipal insurance feed. On Sonia's screen, the SUV had moved forward. In the city record, Camille had reversed. Two versions of the same second had begun moving through separate systems. Camille looked at the incident number on Kessler's terminal. The preliminary fault had already left the intersection. It had entered the city collision system, the municipal liability queue, and the insurance feed connected to Meridian Grid Defense. No one had examined either vehicle. No one had reviewed the cameras. Lieutenant Peter Duval arrived 6 minutes later. He parked behind the damaged cruiser and walked directly to Kessler. The two men spoke beside the patrol car while Camille remained inside her SUV. Duval did not approach Marcus Bell. He did not ask Erin Walsh what she had recorded. When he finally reached Camille's window, he held the crash report as though the unanswered questions had already been resolved. Why did you reverse after being released from the stop? I did not reverse. You moved before Officer Kessler was safely inside his vehicle. He instructed me to leave. Duval looked toward the crushed bumper. So you accelerated away? I moved forward at low speed. Every question contained the answer he wanted. Camille kept her hands visible. I am requesting an independent collision investigator. I also want both vehicles preserved in their current positions. Duval wrote nothing down. This is a local traffic matter. The officer involved is also the person assigning fault. I assigned the preliminary classification. Before reviewing the evidence, Duval closed the folder. It is preliminary. Across the intersection, Marcus stood beside his delivery van. Its commercial camera had already uploaded the impact to the fleet server. I saw the patrol car accelerate, he said. Duval turned toward him. Did you see the officer's foot? No. Did you inspect the cruiser? No. Then you heard a collision and formed an opinion. I watched the cruiser move into her. Duval glanced at the company name printed on the side of the van. Your employer still handles municipal deliveries? Marcus understood the question beneath the question. Duval lowered his voice. Be certain before you attach your company to a disputed police incident. Marcus looked toward the traffic camera above the intersection. Then he stepped back. At the bus shelter, Erin continued recording. She had not seen the impact itself. She had started filming seconds later. I heard Officer Kessler say she reversed, Erin said. Then I recorded him saying his brakes failed. Duval entered a note on his tablet. Witness did not observe collision. Erin leaned toward the screen. Add that I recorded inconsistent statements immediately afterward. Duval looked at her. She did not lower the phone. After a pause, he added the sentence. Inside Meridian Grid Defense, Sonia Patel opened the secure evidence package from Camille's SUV. The gear remained in drive. Forward speed had been low but positive. The reverse lights had never activated. The rear camera showed the patrol cruiser closing the distance from behind. The impact sensor recorded force directly through the center of the rear frame. Sonia sent an automatic preservation request to Redmont's fleet data platform. The patrol cruiser answered with its own event record. Throttle input had increased sharply before impact. Brake pressure remained at 0. The steering angle stayed centered. The dashcam file was intact. Duval received the preservation notice on his tablet. His expression changed for less than a second. He opened the cruiser's evidence page and selected File corrupted during impact. The system rejected the change. A checksum copy had already been mirrored through the municipal insurance server. Duval tried again. The rejection remained. He turned toward a tow truck approaching from the next block. Move the cruiser first. We need the lane cleared. Camille opened her door slowly. Do not move either vehicle before reconstruction. Kessler stepped toward her. Stay inside. I am requesting medical evaluation, the report number, and external review. Duval pointed toward the ambulance now arriving. You can be examined. The vehicles are department property. The SUV is not. The cruiser is blocking traffic. Marcus looked at the tow operator lowering the bed. Once the patrol car moved, tire position, distance, and collision geometry would change. He took out his phone. His fleet system showed the uploaded video with an unbroken timestamp. Marcus sent the original link to the City Inspector General's portal, Meridian's preservation address, and his company insurer. He entered his full name. Then he crossed the curb line. My camera recorded the impact. Do not move that cruiser. The tow operator stopped. Duval's radio sounded. An external hold had been issued. 2 unmarked vehicles arrived without sirens. Commander Julian Cross stepped out with a federal evidence officer and a vehicle security specialist. He did not approach Kessler. He went first to Camille's SUV, confirmed she was conscious, then inspected the damaged equipment compartment without opening it. This vehicle contains protected infrastructure equipment, Julian said. Both vehicles remain where they are. Duval folded his arms. This department controls the crash investigation, not the protected equipment. Another vehicle stopped behind them. Inspector General Dana Mercer stepped onto the roadway carrying a sealed evidence kit. She placed both officers' system access under suspension, changed the fault status to pending, and ordered the dash cam, body camera, traffic camera, dispatch audio, and telemetry copied to an external server. Duval opened the report one final time. He changed the collision timestamp. The screen flashed. External preservation active. Edit retained. Dana opened the synchronized timeline. The SUV moving forward. The patrol car accelerating. Marcus's fleet camera. The traffic signal recording. All 4 lines met at the same second. She turned the tablet toward Duval. Who authorized fault before any of this was reviewed? His name appeared beneath the classification. Approved by Lieutenant Peter Duval. Inspector General Dana Mercer ordered the reconstruction displayed on a single synchronized screen. Camille Raines' SUV appeared on the left. Officer Darren Kessler's patrol car appeared on the right. A traffic camera view filled the center. The SUV's event recorder showed the transmission remaining in drive. Its reverse lights never activated. Its speed stayed low but positive as it moved away from the curb. The patrol cruiser's record showed something different. Throttle input increased sharply. Brake pressure remained at 0. The steering angle stayed centered on the SUV's rear bumper. Marcus Bell's fleet camera captured the cruiser closing the distance. The traffic camera confirmed the same movement from above. Dana paused the reconstruction at the moment of impact. Nothing in the evidence showed Camille reversing. Kessler stood beside Lieutenant Peter Duval at the edge of the secured intersection. My foot slipped. Dana looked toward Erin Walsh. Erin opened the original recording on her phone. Kessler's voice played first. She reversed into me. Less than a minute later, he told dispatch that his brakes might have failed. Then he said Camille had moved unpredictably. His final version described her as hostile during the stop. The machine data remained unchanged while his story moved around it. Dana turned to Duval. The collision platform showed that he had assigned civilian fault before reviewing the dash cam, telemetry, traffic camera, physical damage, or witness statements. After receiving the preservation notice, he had attempted to mark the dash cam corrupted. When that failed, he changed the collision timestamp and ordered the patrol car removed. Each action remained inside the external audit history. Camille opened her credential wallet only after every source had been copied. Commander Julian Cross verified her identity and assignment. She was the executive director of Meridian Grid Defense and an authorized continuity officer within the National Infrastructure Continuity Program. The damaged case inside her SUV contained protected communication equipment used during regional infrastructure emergencies. Protocol Bastion had not declared Kessler guilty. It had prevented him from becoming the only person allowed to describe what happened. Camille looked toward Dana. I am the injured party. Meridian should not participate in the charging decision. Dana transferred the criminal findings to an independent prosecutor. Police Chief Helena Price arrived before either vehicle was released. She issued immediate suspension orders for Kessler and Duval. Their badges, weapons, system credentials, and fleet access cards were collected without ceremony. The department could no longer describe the event as a disputed traffic collision. Its own patrol car had recorded the acceleration. The investigation expanded during the following weeks. Auditors reviewed Kessler's traffic stops and found a pattern. Black drivers were subjected to ownership verification far more often than other motorists with equally valid registrations. Consent searches repeatedly appeared after routine stops should have ended. Drivers who refused were more likely to receive additional citations or vehicle inspections. Several complaints described the same progression Camille had experienced. Questions about ownership, demands unrelated to the original stop, threats after lawful refusal, retaliatory enforcement before release. Duval had closed most of those complaints. His approval notes used nearly identical language, even when recordings contradicted the officer's account. At Kessler's administrative hearing, his written crash report was placed beside the synchronized reconstruction. The report said Camille reversed. The data showed drive. The report said the cruiser attempted to brake. The recorder showed no brake pressure. The report described an accidental impact. The throttle record showed deliberate acceleration. Kessler was dismissed. His law enforcement certification was permanently revoked. Prosecutors charged him with aggravated assault, deprivation of civil rights, falsifying an official crash report, attempted insurance fraud, and destruction of protected property. A jury convicted him. The court imposed a federal prison sentence, restitution, and a permanent prohibition against employment in law enforcement, private policing, or armed public security. Duval was charged with obstruction, false certification, attempted evidence tampering, and conspiracy to submit fraudulent insurance information. His claim that he had merely protected the department collapsed against the edit history. He was convicted, removed from public service, and permanently barred from law enforcement, municipal risk management, public insurance administration, and any position with access to government evidence systems. Camille's collision record was corrected across every connected database. The Department of Motor Vehicles removed the fault entry. Meridian's insurer withdrew the claim against her. The city's final report stated that her SUV had been moving forward and that Kessler's acceleration had caused the impact. The original accusation was not quietly deleted. It remained visible beneath a permanent label. Unsupported and superseded by verified evidence, the city paid for Camille's medical evaluation, the replacement of the damaged infrastructure module, the loss of the SUV, and the interruption to Meridian's federal work. A civil settlement required the department to acknowledge in writing that the traffic stop had expanded beyond its lawful purpose before the collision occurred. Camille did not request a ceremony. She requested that the correction be distributed through every system that had received the false fault code. Dana's office reopened earlier cases connected to Kessler and Duval. Incorrect citations were dismissed. Towing and impound fees were returned. Insurance determinations based on false reports were corrected. Drivers whose premiums, licenses, employment records, or commercial routes had been affected received individual restoration notices and access to a city-funded legal review. Complaints previously closed by Duval were no longer marked unsupported. They were marked improperly reviewed. Chief Price signed a consent agreement placing the Redmont Metropolitan Police under independent monitoring. The department was required to publish traffic stop disparities, consent search rates, complaint outcomes, dash cam failures, and supervisor overrides. Failure to meet the reporting requirements would extend the monitoring period and place portions of the department's risk management budget under outside control. The department could no longer isolate Kessler as a single officer who had suddenly failed. The records showed how long other people had allowed him to continue. Marcus's employer retained its municipal contract under anti-retaliation protections. Erin's statement remained limited to exactly what she had seen and recorded. That precision made it stronger. Redmont adopted an independent officer-involved collision protocol. When a patrol vehicle registered an impact, its event data port locked automatically. A numbered tamper evidence seal had to be installed before the vehicle moved. The involved officer could submit observations but could not assign fault. Supervisors in the same chain of command could not approve the report. Fault remained pending until telemetry, cameras, dispatch audio, physical reconstruction, and witness evidence had been independently reviewed. Months later, another patrol car was involved in a minor collision. Before either driver gave a formal account, a fleet technician knelt beside the cruiser and placed a numbered seal across the event data port. The investigator scanned the seal into the external evidence system. On the tablet, the fault field remained empty. The officer's statement had not yet been entered. The civilian's statement had not yet been entered. No one knew which driver was responsible. This time, the system did not need to guess. No badge could fill the empty field before the evidence arrived. This story is fictional.